Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
As always, guys, make sure you subscribe to all three channels. Have that little bell clicked, and we will get off and running. So we got some more revelations. Remember, we had a unusual substance outside the White House, then in the White House. Now we learn that a formal lab has confirmed the suspicion that the white powdery substance found in the West Wing of the White House was in fact cocaine. He gets high, he gets high, he gets high.
What do we do with this information?
Yeah, hunter in the house. Hunter's in the house. Yeah, the plot thickens. Startling new development. Yes, new information has emerged regarding the cocaine at the White House. The bag was reportedly discovered in the library, a room where Hunter Biden is known to have used his laptop. The Secret Service allegedly assumed that it belonged to Hunter, but no fingerprints were collected from the bag. The White House library is under 24/7 video surveillance, suggesting that the Secret Service knows who it was in the case of a forgotten stash. Or is there a more clandestine narrative unfolding behind the scenes? Yeah, there's been a lot out in the open when it comes to this guy, and it's been absolutely nauseating. And, again, I have to think all this is completely part of the script. It's not a whoopsie. It's not a, oh, darn, look what I forgot. No. And then you might have people thinking it's planted. Well, yeah, I think it probably was planted. I mean, I think this is all about, hey, the people are not in the streets. They're not tearing down the gates and the barricades. They're not reacting like we want them to react because, again, as we've been saying for, all the way back to 2017, they plan a Red Dawn scenario. But before that, they want to have civil conflict well underway. They're doing everything they can to rile up everybody, to get people to turn us into what's going on in France.
I know, and we really cannot succumb to that. We have to be better. We have to be bigger. When we're separating from these energies, we have to walk out without doing harm to ourselves. And if we are to engage in things, screaming and yelling, this isn't fair, that's not fair, well, we could really hurt ourselves, and we have to keep ourselves in mind, not them.
Yes, absolutely. And talking about another actor here. Thanks to the CIA, Russian plot to attack the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant was thwarted. Oh, okay, everybody breathe easy now. Thank you, CIA. Yeah. Again, this is all part of this big drama. And, they put this guy out always. I mean, he's always wearing military colors, right? He's got that olive green on shirt all the time. He looks so somber. He's got the facial hair just to give you like the feeling of toughness and masculinity. Well, we know who he really is. We've seen.
I know, and he does these things very well.
Yes, another actor. Yeah, he's doing the selfies. Meanwhile, people really are dying. This is what always happens. I think it's dangerous when people think that people don't really die. That is dangerous. And, yet war happens all the time. It's always happening for like the last 6,000 years. We can see there's constant warfare on this planet. And that's why when you look at wars and rumors of wars, that covers the last 6,000 years. Every year. There really isn't any time when there's peace on the planet during a Kali Yuga, during a dark age. As you see this article from, it's updated over here. The original article was March 11th, 2022, but somebody reprinted it July 5th, 2023. Klaus Schwab turns a once promising young global leader. He's turning on him. Is he really turning on him? No. Okay, this is the part where you do this. Okay, Uncle Klaus.
Follow the cue cards.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, so many people I think back about a year ago, so many people were praising Putin and wishing that the U.S. had somebody like Putin. Now, he does speak clearly. He does speak straightly. It's not like in the West where it's all just, just all smoke and mirrors and lies and fluff and the usual things they've been saying for 50 plus years. They say the same things all the time. The left says the same things. The right says the same things. It's all about selling the public, but the public knows now. A lot of the public knows, but then we still have people that are still completely asleep at the wheel. So, again, this is part of the giant play that's panning out. Don't forget, 45, he said Klaus, he's done a fantastic job. His words were, these are really important people. Well, I thought the American people were important people to you. But you're saying that Klaus has done a fantastic job? So do you approve of us all owning nothing and being slaves? Of mandatory everything that they want? Again, even if their higher selves want to do the right thing, in the system, they can't. They really can't, because they're in the power system. We've equated them to, again, more like the mob, the mafia. Think of the Sopranos, right? You don't go up against the power structure directly, otherwise you get lead boots. And don't forget, Ivanka was included in Fortune magazine's prestigious 40 Under 40 and was a young global leader of the WEF. They got all the bases covered. That's because you can't get to that top level without being part of the system. There's no billionaires that are not part of the system. None. You can't get to be a billionaire on the planet without being part of the system. That should be very self-evident.
It should be, but not everybody digs very deep.
No, some people just take the superficial and they don't want to hear the reality because it scares them. So they'll go ahead believing in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy. As you see, Dr. Pia McCullough calls out Texas Governor Greg Abbott for being associated with the WEF. See, this is the difference now and this is what makes it a little bit more dangerous, is you're having people in higher places, a lot of public recognition, speaking out and calling this out, saying, Greg, why are you up here? Why haven't you, just told them, hey, I don't want to be associated with you? Why don't you come out and say, hey, I don't believe that we should all own nothing and all be slaves? No, he hasn't, and honestly, and I've responded to some tweets where there's not a lot of responses to it. And I'm constantly saying to him every day, Greg, what about your face on the WEF? And no responses. Meanwhile, just as we've seen in other areas, you have massive migrant camps in northern France. This looks like an army. This looks like, a modern day army that's just sitting there. Thousands of able-bodied young men with nothing to lose. Now, this group heading to the UK. Heading to the UK, yeah. France, what's going on there? Out of order chaos. Out of chaos order. They're planning on this for the US, the UK, and pretty much the rest of NATO, because, again, they want to bring about the conditions to where we'll accept anything. We're so hungry, we'll just go right into their cities, let them lock the door behind us, just give us a piece of bread.
Indeed.
That's exactly what they're pushing for. U.S. Navy thwarts Iranian attempt to seize 2 oil tankers. The Iranian ships fired near the oil tankers. There's been many times this has happened in recent times. And there is a difference now with the BRICS nations, flexing their muscles because, at the highest levels, they understand the war that is underway, and they understand that really, again, China is going to be the one that takes over the U.S. position.
Yeah, every time we have this stuff going on, it's just getting a little bit closer. We're one day closer to something that's going to take over.
Absolutely. Teamsters say UPS negotiations collapse as nationwide strikes still possible. That'll definitely interrupt things if UPS goes on strike. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we have a slow-moving, earthbound CME estimated to arrive July 9th or 10th. Absolutely, what we've gotten from the guides is anytime we see a big solar flare, we are being affected as far as our consciousness, whether it comes our way or not. But yet, yeah, absolutely, direct impact will directly impact us. And this is all consciousness related. This is all related to the Great Awakening. As humanity understands all of a sudden its position and that it's been used. We've been used. They've given us an illusion of us choosing our leaders, of us making real important decisions. No, it's all been an illusion. And the sun is doing a huge part in bringing this to it's bringing us to our senses. And this is why now they're so openly talking about blocking out the sun so seriously, because they got to keep you in the dark. And they can't do it because the light that's coming from the sun is literally bringing about a gnosis. A knowing, an experiential knowing. It's literally turning on so many lights in those little noggins of humans around the planet. Aha, I get it now.
Mm-hmm. I know. And, we already have people who are feeling this and feeling these energies. So if you're starting to feel it, get yourself, I'm seeing you need to put yourself in like a quiet, dark place and then settle your soul. Allow your energy to settle quite a lot and let things just process through. You might have some worries, you might have some anxieties. Allow those to process through, because ultimately it's bringing you to a better place, and that's what we want.
And also now I'm seeing articles talking about this solar peak happening quicker than expected and being more intense than expected. So again, time and time again, whether even with people that are on the fringe, we find that predictions will be not what's predicted. And, again, it really is more about the plan, the greater plan, because there is a creator of this universe. There is a natural order to things, and we are leaving the dark age. And there's going to be a lot more volcanic activity too, because there is going to be a lot of natural earth changes. The earth is trying to hold off as much as possible, and the Galactic Federation is helping with trying to mitigate all this coming down quickly, all at one big fell swoop. They want to try to help us to process the changes that are coming in a slower, more manageable way. But here we see, this is one of Cindy's favorite words.
Yes, Forrest Degelfall.
Yeah, wow, she just amazes me with her pronunciations. There's a massive swarm going away. This is up in Iceland. But again, we've gotten from the guides that on the timeline that we're on now, we are about a year or less. We're actually probably a little less than a year away than seeing some volcanic activity in the Pacific Northwest that we haven't seen before. And this just hits me as curious. Multiple shark attacks reported off the New York shores, 50 sharks spotted at one beach. It's not just there, too. There's been a lot of cases that we haven't really talked about, but I've been watching, and I just saw too many things at one time now. It's like nature in some ways is really striking out a little bit at humanity, but boy, humanity has been devastating nature because of the system. This is over in Pensacola. That's something you don't want to see. I had that happen to me once in about chest deep water where a shark did swim by, and I was at Daytona Beach, and there was a lot of people out there, and everybody got out fine. Nobody got bit. But it's a scary situation when you have a shark about 6 to 8 feet away from you. And, there's been a lot of cases. And we have an alligator that killed a 69-year-old South Carolina woman as she walked her dog by Hilton Head Island Lagoon. This is, again, an area I lived for a year and a half. I loved Hilton Head. It probably was the most perfect little climate that I've experienced as far as myself. And yet I would encounter gators every single day. This was a 10-foot long. This was a big one. And they found the gator over her body. It was, planning on dinner. And this was the second time that they had a fatal attack in the same county in less than a year. An 88-year-old woman was killed August last year. This is Spanish Wells Golf Club in Hilton Head. Again, if you haven't seen Hilton Head, it is one of the most beautiful places in the country. Gorgeous. And there's walking and biking paths everywhere. You really can get around without a vehicle. You just got to dodge the gators.
Oh my gosh, that's so horrible. I got all these visions going through my head. That must have been horrific. Of course, for the lady, but even the rescue workers too, having to view that. PTSD is such a huge thing, and I don't think there's enough attention given to it. But yeah, those workers, man, of course, the lady, that's so devastating. And let's talk about the animals for a minute too. These things are on the rise, and just as humans, our emotions, when we have these things come in and the sun hits the planet, we go through anxieties and angst. Well, these animals, their environment is being interrupted in huge ways. So their behavior is going to change too. And that's what I see going on. It's like you were talking about earlier, Mother Nature, she's starting to strike back. And this is what that looks like, unfortunately.
And just as we've talked about how certain frequencies can affect humans, those frequencies will affect them too.
Oh, yeah.
So, when we talk about all those towers and everything else, that could have an effect. Absolutely. And this is in Alaska, and this is real fishing life. No one is paying attention. We now have the largest fish kills in world history. Hearing about trees dying all over. Now I can see dead spruce trees here on the mountains of Alaska. Has anybody questioned anything, or are you just sheep that is asleep? Commercial fishermen. And I've experienced the die-off in person in Florida. And when we had that massive red tide, I was on the beach walking amongst the fish, and for weeks, maybe even months, I was smelling the horrid smell coming from all these poor things that just succumb to it. And then we have the disclosure side of things going on as well. House investigator warns UFOs are beyond control in our military airspace. Well, absolutely. The technology that we've seen blows what they show us. But, again, at the highest levels, they understand that these are part of the control structure. If you have been following Cindy and myself for years, you might remember the video we did. We were walking in the desert in Nevada, and I just felt like, Zeke went up on a hill. And so it's weird. Why is Zeke going up on this hill? So we followed Zeke up on the hill, and then I just felt like some sort of communication coming from the guides. So I just started filming, and we just started making a video. And when we played the video, somebody said, "You got this orb or this ship that comes in at so-and-so." And I was like, "Really? Oh, wow. Okay." And then we slowed it down, and we saw it clear as day. There's a ship that comes in. And it comes in low, hard, and fast and just buzzes right by us. And then, Cindy was able to zoom in on the ship, and absolutely, it was, a reptilian ship. And, we've had so many interactions with orbs as well. These are part of the control structure. Not all of them. Some of them are part of just simply other people that are out there doing trade with the earth, just coming by, like taking the kids to the zoo. Look at the craziness on planet Earth today, kids. Because Earth is a crazy place. And then we do have the benevolent ones that do watch us too, and those are mostly light ships. So they're going to be very, very different than these metallic orbs, these spheres, or these other ships that we see. Aliens on Earth. Top researcher claims to have retrieved fragments of extraterrestrial object. You remember Avi Loeb? And he's a Harvard researcher. He's talked so much about so many different things, and he claims to have discovered retrieved fragments of an extraterrestrial object from the depths of the ocean that crashed back in 2014. That's a pretty good rendition, by the way. They're not that tall. The one I saw was about 8 to 9 feet tall and was in my bedroom. And yeah, absolutely. There's so much disclosure coming out now because, again, it is part of their plan. And this is where we started to get interruptions in our video last time. And it wasn't the microphone cord. It's nothing like that. No, they just simply, especially some of the stuff that Cindy says, because Cindy is in direct contact. She's a direct channel that we have with the Galactic Federation, as well as other beings. We do interact with, for instance, the Arcturians on a regular basis. And it's been that way since we've been together. So, we do have contact with certain beings, and they don't want you knowing this because, again, when we look at things like these, these are part of the control structure when you get down to it. And, there's a sphere from Poland, and there's one from Bangkok. And these are basically like drones, and they're utilized to send information to monitor humans. Humans are always monitored. We're always monitored because we don't live in really we don't have a free existence here on the planet, and we are viewed as somebody's property.
We don't have a free existence yet, but we really have to keep working on that and keep visualizing that, because our energy and what we believe, oh my gosh, belief systems, they are so powerful. I mean, can they not just move everything, a belief system? And they do a really good job at getting us locked into certain belief systems to keep us from stepping outside the norm.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I was looking at these, again, I always think to the movies, and we've had so many people saying things like, I know our own beloved Mary D was just saying the other day how The Matrix and so many others, Terminator, these are like almost like documentaries when you get down to it that they're relaying. Do you guys remember this creepy movie? This was a creeper. This is a movie I wouldn't recommend if you want to get a good night's sleep. Phantasm. It had a sphere like these orbs. Now, this movie's from 79. I'm going to double check. And, of course, you see here little blood tip arrows that can drill come out of this thing. But it was just the plot of the movie, because this was like the most bizarre movie ever, where you have this guy he's a mortician, a crypt-keeping mortician, but he's not human. He's not human. And what did they do in this? They take the dead humans' bodies, they turn them into dwarves, they reanimate them, and they send them to a planet to be slaves. You want to talk about a crazy movie. That is a crazy movie. But the thing that hit me was, again, the metallic spheres.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing new under the sun. It's all there. You don't think these ideas just come from poof, nowhere. No, they come from somewhere because they have happened.
Have you serenaded a cow lately? Well, maybe you should try. It might be very appreciative. Again, our body comes from the mother and the earth, and it goes back to the earth. But the other part of us is eternal. And so this is just a temporary experience. You've incarnated behind enemy lines on a planet that has been under control of dark intentioned interdimensional extraterrestrials. And you're part of the system busting team that's here to expose it for what it is.
I think it's a lot of fun whenever I do a chart, and I just did a chart for a mom, which was such a pleasure to do that. I don't recommend doing charts for people until you're like 28 if you want the chart yourself, but I do charts for parents if they want to know kind of what their children will be good at, what their strengths and weaknesses are. But boy, oh boy, was this little one a system buster. I mean, her chart looked so much like Mike's. It was crazy.
Yeah. And I told her, that's my spiritual grandchild there. And really, again, she's an amazing lady, and her husband's an amazing guy, and they are living off grid. They're building everything from scratch. She's got four. Three with her. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she has 3 kids with her. Now, she gave birth totally on her own with no doula, no assistance, no midwife, no help at all, at home, and complete success. They are organic, and the very definition of organic. And, Tori and Kevin, you're really inspiring.
We are proud.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for being part of this family. Thank you for standing your ground and helping all the really loving cows everywhere that enjoy country music. And thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. God bless. Namaste.